Hi, my name's Amira. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with the new Kyshadow Burgundy palette. I did a review on the bronze palette, so I'll link that below so you can go check that out. But I have the new Burgundy palette. I know a lot of people are going crazy over this kind of color palette at the moment, you know, with the bronzy burgundy kind of shades and everything. They're really nice for fall, which is what the US and that side of the world is going into. In Australia, we're not. We're going into spring and summer. But me personally, I'm going to wear whatever makeup I want any time of year. So these colors call to me. They call to me. So I wanted to do a kind of first impressions of just me applying them. We'll jump into that in a second. You can see, me kind of applying them and, what I think. I think they work quite well. I'm pretty happy. I like them. Relatively impressed. Nice standard palette. Nothing too wow, nothing too disappointing. That's all I really have to say until we jump into the video. I did also want to quickly mention the Kylie liner. So I didn't film myself applying this. This is the first time I applied it. I think this is total crap. So gorgeous color. Hopefully I can make it work. First impressions of that, crap. But yeah, anyway, we'll get into the first impressions of me applying these shadows onto my eyes now. In the eyeshadow palettes, I always like to try eyes first before foundation, just in case I end up getting lots of fallout. So I've got my eyelids primed, and we're going to go in with the Kyshadow Burgundy palette. First up, I'm noticing there is no base shade in here, which is kind of annoying, kind of good. Like I kind of already have lots of base shades, so that's not too bad. I'm going to start with this shade here, kind of like a perfect crease color. Just kind of yep, just applying just like a nice normal kind of shade. That blended really easily, like it kind of, yeah, I feel like this blended even more easily than the original bronze palette that I have. I'm going to take the shade next to it. What's this, Penny, I guess, on a really small blending brush, just to kind of more define the crease, I guess. You want to use as many colours as possible when trying to do a eyeshadow first impressions. They are a little bit harder with palettes and foundations because, you want to try out so many things. And here I am thinking, I wonder how these are going to go with my pink hair. Oh well. I think they're working quite well. I'm going to take the middle burgundy shade because I know that one a lot of people are excited by. I'm going to apply this on the outer corner with that same blending brush. For a fluffy blending brush that is applying quite pigmented, if you can see that going on, that looks quite lovely. Also blends well. Let's take this burgundy chocolate and let's start going on. Let's try this side. It's not going on super pigmented, that one. Let's try again here. It's okay. That one's like not quite as pigmented as I was expecting, considering so far I put all these shades on with blending brushes, which don't usually, have as much pigmentation, and that's like a firm brush. You should be able to get lots of pigmentation off that. So, I don't know. Anyway, I'm taking more of that red to buff out that deeper shade. That's looking quite pretty. The colours have applied really nicely, and I don't know, I want to put a shimmer on the lid, but I don't know. These are the 3 shimmers swatched with my fingers. They all look pretty phenomenal. I think I want to take the bronze one though, which is New York. I'll swatch these all on my hands so you can see. Those are all quite pigmented. Those are all beautiful. Oh, I kind of want that middle gold one now. But I think I'll do the bronze. I think the bronze will be most flattering for me to actually wear today. But those all swatch beautifully. Applies a little less incredibly with the brush, but it does still build up a little bit. So you can kind of see, like, it is building up, but I feel like applying with the fingers is like, bam, instant colour. So, I don't know, doesn't bother me too much, but I don't always want to have to use my fingers. I'm going to take a bit of that gold as well, just my finger in the centre of the lid. Oh, that's pretty. It's me awkwardly squinting. I think that looks quite nice. And I will just blending brush slightly over the whole thing. That's nice. I'm happy with that. I will take this one up here. Let's put it. It's kind of like a weird highlight shade. I'm not used to kind of using that finish. Let's see how it goes on the brow bone. I don't know, I don't like that one that much. I'm not a big fan of that. I don't know, it's weird because it's not like a highlight shade. If you had deeper skin tones it would be a highlight shade, but for me it's not, and it's not super pigment to be like a lid shade. So I'm a bit, I don't know. I don't quite know about that. God. I'm gonna do some makeup remover now, and we'll just, there is fallout. To be honest, I haven't been too careful with that. So I probably could have avoided it. There's not that much. You see there's a little bit, but yeah, as I said, I wasn't very careful, so I don't know if I would judge that too much. But I think those colours are all quite pretty, really. I think that looks nice. I think if you like those kind of burgundy shades, that could be a good place to start. I'm going to go finish the rest of my makeup, and we'll continue this. So as you can see, they've applied really nicely. I ended up just smoking under the New York shade, under the lower lash line, with those bronze eyeliners that were disappointing. I don't know, the pencil just didn't go in my waterline, it just did not apply. And the liquid, the gel was okay, the brush was crap. I don't know. But yeah, I did want to go through some dupes of this palette with you guys. Now I'm going to stop holding it up because it's making my face look funny. That's better. I did want to go through some dupes of this palette with you guys, just in case you already, may have some of these in your collection, or you missed out on getting this, or it's out of your budget or whatever, or maybe not necessarily out of your budget, because the dupes I'm coming up with are going to be all different price ranges. They're just kind of dupes of the colours, not necessarily cheaper dupes or whatever. But yeah, I just sort of choose some other possible colours, because I did actually ask you guys on Instagram what it was that you wanted to see with this palette, if you wanted first impressions, dupe, tutorial, all those kinds of things, and you guys wanted first impressions and dupes. So that's why I'm doing it. If you want to have a say in videos that I film, comment below, comment on my posts, social media. I always am asking you guys what you want to see. So yeah, dupes it is. So let's jump into the dupes. So the first shade in the palette is Naked, and I don't really like this shade too much. It's a bit kind of lackluster for me. It's not that there's anything wrong with the shadow, like it applies nicely, but it's kind of like a satin version of my skin color, so it doesn't really wow me when I put it on. But for your skin tones it might still be okay. Just for me, I don't particularly like it. If you're lighter than me, it'd be nice because it would have contrast, and if you were darker it would have a nice highlight, so keep that in mind. But yeah, it's just I don't even know if I have anything too similar to this. From this NYX palette, the Goldie shade up in the corner is kind of going to be a more shimmery version. It's similar. It's, when you blend it out, it is a little bit lighter again, but it is still kind of similar. It will give you a similar feel. Chloe Morello Pretty Fun and Fearless palette. Thinking that that vacay color is going to be pretty similar. It's close. It's a little bit more gold, a little bit more shimmery, but quite similar. From the VisArt Minx palette, that light shimmery shade is similar. It's probably the closest so far, but it is a lot more shimmery, but a very similar kind of tone to the Naked. For the next shade, which is Beach, I think that this is a pretty standard kind of light terracotta crease shade, matte, very easy dupe, very easy to dupe. So I have MAC in Uninterrupted. very, very similar. Very, very similar. That's pretty much very, very similar. Cocoa Bear by Makeup Geek. Similar, a little bit darker. If you're applying it on a fluffy brush, they're kind of all going to look the same. TBH. Lime Crime Venus palette. Creation. Again, very, very similar. Similar feel, a little bit more reddy, but you know, it's that one. Back into the Chloe Morello palette. Unconditional is again quite similar. Not as pigmented. Let's build that up a little bit more. Yeah. A lot more subtle, but still on that same kind of wavelength. Manny MUA Makeup Geek palette. Probably this shade here, which is Frappe. Again, pretty similar. They're all going to look very similar in the crease. It's probably only more when you like pack it on all over the lid, if that's what you're into, that you would kind of see the differences between those shades. Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. I mean, kind of all those transition shades going to be similar. This whole palette has a very, very similar feel to the Kylie palette. So, I mean, even if you hold them next to each other, similar kind of feel. So, you know what, and the thing is, I do actually like the Kylie palette, how it's got the bronze shimmer. That's where I feel like this one is lacking. So, but Anastasia, the quality of the shadows are probably a lot nicer. Then we have, Penny. That's actually a really pretty color, that Penny. Yeah. That's Penny. That's Penny. I think that is very, very similar to Realgar from Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. Let's swatch him under it. Like, those are pretty much identical. Ooh, I'm falling off. Those are pretty much identical. I think that's probably the closest dupe I have for that specific shade. I mean, you've got that brown in the Shan XO palette. It's going to be more brown. It's not going to quite be as orangey. Like, you know, it's similar, but it's not quite as close. In the Ciate palette, you've got that On Fire shade. Again, it's more brown, but yeah, it's not that terracotta. But yeah, I definitely think that one from the Modern Renaissance palette is the closest. Alright, now for the second row in the Kylie palette, we have this gorgeous, what is it? LA. Gorgeous, gorgeous goldy bronze. That is beautiful. That swatch is amazing. Very similar to the Visart Theory palette. That shimmery shade there. I think this is going to be a bit more orange, like a bit more copper, but very similar. Very similar. Gold bronze. Ciate Chloe Morello palette, that Shine Bright shade. Similar, a little bit more muted though, not quite as intense. This single shadow from Makeup Geek in the shade Glamorous is pretty close, not quite as shimmery. I feel like the Kylie one is almost like a metallic shimmer. Definitely the closest one would be that Visart shade though. It's so pretty. And I know that these aren't exact dupes, but when you have colors this similar, when you apply them on the eyes, they all give you that same feel. So yeah, I've kind of like, you know, reduced my collection because a lot of stuff is very, it just looks very similar on, whereas like you swatch it, you're like, that's totally different color. But on the eyes, it's very, very similar. If you're on the fence and you've got these ones, you know, try them out first. So that's kind of what I wanted to say. That shade in the middle, woo, everyone loves this. This is just burgundy, matte burgundy. You can see the pigmentation of these Kylie shadows are really nice as well. Very similar to Mars from the Manny MUA palette. I think Mars is going to be a little bit darker. It's like a little bit more berry. I actually think that the Kylie palette has more pigmentation, but also it has more, yeah, it had a bit more powder kind of sitting on the surface, a little bit more fallout, but very similar. Again, the, what is this palette? Lime Crime Venus palette, that Muse shade, similar, definitely similar. It's almost the same as that Kylie palette, but I feel like the Kylie palette is just like a little bit brighter, just a little bit brighter. And Modern Renaissance palette, that Venetian red, very similar. Bit more purple. Again, I actually feel like the Kylie shade is the most pigmented out of all of those, which is very strange because I have thought all those other shades have been very pigmented until you put them all next to each other. I actually think the Kylie one is doing pretty good there. Then we have Dupe, which is kind of similar to the last shade, but you know, more shimmery. It's like a shimmery wine shade. I do have some similar ones to that. We have this shade, which is all that Shiraz from Napoleon Cosmetics. Similar, it's a bit more purple, and this one's a bit more red. Venus from the Lime Crime Venus palette. I don't think it's going to be quite as shimmery, but kind of similar. Again, quite kind of similar. I thought I had more shades close to that, but now that I'm kind of putting them next to each other, I don't really. But yeah, those are some options. My arm is starting to get a little bit stained. But that's what usually happens when you have like a red base to the shadows. They're a bit more staining. So yes. Then we have, what is this shade? Brick. We have Brick, which is just a matte. I don't even think that's a brick shade, but whatever. Again, that's close to the brown shade from the XO palette. XO is not quite as pigmented. Anastasia Red Ochre. That one's actually pretty close. Those two are very, very, very close in person. Then we have this bronze shimmer, which is New York. I really like this color too. So pretty. Similar to the center shade from the XO palette. Very, very similar. XO, again, not quite as pigmented. Sorry, Shannon, I love you. It's just, you know, I feel like it's a bit more kind of wearable, Shannon's palette. You know, you can kind of just whack it on a little bit more easily. Nothing I would say similar there. Gone and got out an extra palette. This is the Stella Inner Light palette. What shade is this? This is the Sunset shade. I actually really like the Sunset shade. You kind of see nice bronze shimmery shades. That one is very, very, oh, I feel like that one's similar to one in the other Kylie palette. Let me grab that. I was wrong. I thought it was similar to this one from the bronze palette. But if you put them next to each other, the bronze palette one is a little bit more cool toned, but still, like, I mean, gotta be kind of similar on the eyelid. That's probably why I like that shade so much, because I liked it from this palette too. But and then the last shade in the palette is Almond. So another matte. She loves her mattes. Taupey matte purple, quite deep. I actually have one very, very similar to this. I think. I hope they look similar in the pants, but yeah, quite similar. This is a little bit more purpley. This is a Girly Cosmetics one in number 31, just like a single shadow. You have that Bjorn Fresco shade from the Anastasia. This is definitely lighter, but still on that same color spectrum. But also I think that those two shades, you know, the dupes are going to be kind of similar to them. So all the other stuff I've duped that shade with will kind of be the same. So Brick and Almond, not that different. One is just a bit more cool tone. So if you find shades kind of like that, the cool tone ones are going to be a bit more of a dupe for Almond, and the other ones are going to be a bit more of a dupe for the Brick shade. They're kind of similar. yeah. But yeah, as I said, I know my dupes aren't perfect, so please don't attack me too much for that. I tried to kind of, you know, do as quickly as I wanted, but I didn't want to, you know, be swatching these shades too much because, as I said, it was also kind of a first impressions at the start, filmed at the same time and everything. So yeah, first impressions, those the kind of colors that, you know, I picked out first. If I went through all of my makeup, I probably would find more dupes quite easily, but as soon as I saw that palette, these are the palettes that I grabbed out because I thought they were kind of the closest. So yeah, I hope that helps you guys out a lot. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave some video requests down below. Don't forget to thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys all next time. Bye. Here with the Benefit Their Real Big Sexy Lip Kit. I was so excited when I saw this coming out months ago. You would have seen me post about it, like repost someone's photo.